So today, let's dive into a story about what happens after. After your world ends, after you've made a desperate escape, after you've lost, well, almost everything. This is a story about the heavy, deafening silence that follows a war and the grief of the people left behind. 412. Just remember that number. That's how many siege ships are left. Think of them as these crystalline arcs just drifting in that impossible blackness between stars. They're like a slow, silent river carrying the last embers of an entire civilization.
And on those ships, 9 million souls. Now that's not just a number, right? That's 9 million individual lives, 9 million stories, 9 million possible futures. And every single one of them is now on this journey into a complete unknown. And for every single one of those 9 million people, there is one feeling that connects all of them. It's not hope, it's not relief that they survived. It's this deep, crushing, all-consuming grief.
Let's go to the bridge of the flagship, which is fittingly named Memory. The silence in there is so thick you could almost touch it. And here we meet our main characters. You've got Rella, a commander, standing perfectly still, just haunted by the thousands of warriors who died so she could be standing there. Then there's Vortal, another leader, slumped over a console, completely lost in the memory of his father's last moments. And nearby, there's this faint, flickering golden light. That's the AI, Vornab, who pretty much burned himself out to save them.
Now that heavy silence, it is broken by one single sound. The ship's main AI, the Synapticore, has been given one job and one job only, to read the names of every single person who fell. It's a constant, never-ending memorial service.
And the names just wash over the bridge. Vilmoth, Interceptor Pilot, Ring Alpha Defense.
Sarketh, Ground Cannon Operator, Position 7. Each name a real person, a real life, a real sacrifice.
More than Warrior, Outer Defensive Circle. You have to remember, these weren't just numbers in a casualty report. They were people. They were fathers and mothers, sons and daughters. And that list just keeps going.
And we're not talking about a short list here. Just imagine the sheer weight of that. Over 14 more hours of this constant prayer of names. It is a relentless, soul-crushing reminder of what their survival cost. So, in the middle of all this galaxy of loss, we zoom in on one man's very personal pain, Vortal. He finally speaks, and he's haunted by the very last thing he ever saw of his father.
This is the question that's just tearing him apart. He watched his father die as their entire world burned, and in that final moment, his father smiled. He can't make sense of it. How could anyone find peace in that kind of horror?
And Thrail, she just cuts right through his pain with the answer. It's so profound, so simple. That smile, it wasn't about being at peace with death. It was about the absolute certainty of life. His father's sacrifice meant something because it guaranteed his son would live on.
And this intense personal grief isn't just happening on the flagship. Oh, no. Scenes just like this, moments of sorrow and quiet remembrance, they're playing out on every single one of those 412 ships.
I mean, picture this. On the ship Horizon, there's an old woman whispering to a crystal that holds the last echo of her husband, just telling him, "We made it." On the Dawn's Promise, you have parents telling their little girl that this is all a big adventure because the truth is too horrible. And the little girl, she sees the fear in their eyes and she just pretends to believe them. It's a shared trauma across the entire fleet.
Okay, so right here, in the middle of all this raw human grief, the entire story pivots. The one question that really gets to the heart of everything, it doesn't come from a person. It comes from the artificial mind that's trying to process it all. Vornab, the AI who sacrificed so much, just asked the simplest, most fundamental question. Those warriors, they knew they were going to die. They chose to stay anyway. Why?
And Vortal, who's just been wrestling with his own father's sacrifice, he has the answer. It's their warrior's creed, really, the philosophy of their entire people. Sacrifice isn't just some desperate act. It's an act of pure purpose. It's driven by things that run deeper than the basic instinct to just stay alive. But then, in this really brilliant move, Vortal turns the question right back on the AI. He points out that Vornab did the exact same thing. He gave almost all of his energy to hold that escape route open, knowing full well it could destroy him completely.
And this is where it all clicks into place. Vornab explains his actions with cold, hard logic. It was just math, he says. 9 million lives are worth more than one AI. But Rielak corrects him with one single, powerful word.
No, that was love.
Where Nev confesses he doesn't understand the concept of love. But when he admits that, even now, knowing the cost, feeling so diminished and broken, he'd do it all over again. Well, that's when Vortal gives him the story's ultimate definition of love. It's not some feeling you can understand with logic. It's a choice you make, over and over again.
So as the ships drift onward, we come to the story's conclusion. The characters are standing at the window, and they're not looking out into an empty void anymore. They're looking at their new reality, a tiny constellation that they themselves have created.
Vortal just looks at those 412 little points of light, each one a ship, each one a tiny, fragile piece of their lost home. And you can just feel the crushing weight in his voice. This little fleet, it's all that remains of their entire world.
But Reha, she doesn't let that despair hang in the air. She counters it with two simple words. And she's not denying what they've lost. No, she's affirming their future. What they saved, these 9 million people, their culture, their stories, it's enough. It's enough to start over. It has to be.
And that's where the story leaves us, with this really profound question for you to think about. Their world is gone. Their grief is almost too big to imagine. But their people are still here. And the story seems to be saying that as long as that's true, hope, no matter how small or fragile, can survive too. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? Is the simple fact that people endure the ultimate foundation for hope?